Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Hammer. Today is Tuesday, June 10th, 2025. I, of course, am the Rate Sensei, here to tell you what's going on with mortgage rates and pricing today. Today, we're going to talk about what's going on. I didn't change this one. Today, we're going to talk about what's going on with kind of all the basics. Really ain't much to talk about today. However, you can join me live each and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, where I do broadcast to you on Facebook and YouTube. If you're here this morning, say good morning. If you're watching on the replay, give me a hashtag replay in the comments. Let me know that you were here. Let Facebook, YouTube know that you were here. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and like us on Facebook, all that good stuff. If you'd like a quick text reminder that I'm going live each morning, you can get sign up for that at hmmr.io/reminder, hmmr.io/reminder, or use this cool QR code over here. You can even take a screenshot of it with your phone. If you're on your phone right now, go back to your photos and that QR code will work. So let's go ahead and say hi to the live folks before we get started. Good morning, Michael Love. Mallory Fotiato, it's great to have you here. Angela Walters, good to see you. Amy Blauser, thank you for joining. Sean Segaloff, what's up, man? Nope, not going with a different hat. Actually, the product that I'm going to put all of our rate stuff under that product brand of Rate Sensei. I want to make y'all the sensei, teaching you about rates and pricing. See, the area cowboy doesn't go very well. Like wrestling up better rates. Wouldn't that be funny? Good morning, Candido Diaz, Monica Dinkins. Great to see you. Will Patterson. Good morning, Mike Tebow. Thank you for joining. Megan Bissell. Great to see you. Greta Shanae. Hello. Hope you all are all doing well. All right, let's jump in and get started. Good morning, Mike Brown. Snuck in under the wire. All right, so let's take a quick look at where things are at here. Quick recap of what happened in the day yesterday. We can see that right here. Pricing generally comes out. Mortgage bonds were right here. Remember, when this line chart goes up, that is good for rates. We like that. So after we got morning pricing yesterday, we see that they went up and up and up and up and got higher. Now, we did see some reprices better here. There weren't a lot, though. They were mainly in the wholesale side, but there were a handful of them. We lost a little bit of ground to the, kind of end of the day here, but still, that's better than that. There's this much of a move, and that's a good thing. So things were a little bit better yesterday. You can see this morning, we have continued to hold those gains right here. So yesterday when pricing came out, we were right about here. Today we are up here. What does that mean? Well, that means that rate sheets today should be a little bit better than yesterday. Not going to see anything tremendous, mind you, but they are going to be a little bit better than yesterday. If we take a look at the 10-year Treasury yield, we can see that also has come down a bit, currently 4.42. Again, 4.42. Yesterday, it was up here. We actually ended the day yesterday at 4.48. It opened up at 4.5. So it has, you see here, it has moved lower. All right. Remember, this is yield, and yield is not pricing. So we want to see yield move lower, whereas when we come over here to mortgage-backed security pricing, we want mortgage pricing to move higher. That's actually better for us. Now, arguably, see this blue line right here that we are testing? This is the 25-day moving average. Now, I could say, oh, hey, look, we tested it right here. We've tested it back here. We've tested it here. So we even tested it right here. So it's kind of given us a little bit of trouble breaking through. We did break through it for 1 or 2 days last week. Remember, Wednesday, we had that unexpected improvement, which we did lose immediately Thursday, and then after the jobs data on Friday. Now, one thing to note, though, is real quick while we're going over this stuff, if we take a look at that jobs data, this was Friday. It's this candlestick right here. All right. If we take a look at jobs data from that Friday, we fell all the way down to here. We have not recovered all of that. Again, we started up here and it moved down on the day. That's what a red candlestick does, right? So we are still not back up to where we were ahead of that. But we're closing in kind of where we were before that. It's right at that same level. And then there was obviously, we were much lower than that here. So we've improved from that. What that actually means when we take a look at rate sheets, you can take a look here at, some of that worst pricing that corresponds to when we see, Unfortunately, I can't do both these. So when we see this negative right here, when things move down, right, that corresponds to the worst pricing that we see right here. And then when we go back and take a look here, we improved up till Wednesday, and Wednesday was our best pricing right here. And if we take a look at rate sheets, Wednesday was the fourth, and you could see that we had the best rate sheet pricing on the fourth. Rates had moved down to their lowest level on the fourth, so you can see the causality here in bonds and the effect that it had on rate sheets. As far as what we're seeing right now, it puts us kind of smack dab in that range. We're currently right around 6.92. Basically, we're going to call it 6 7/8, right? We're right around that 6 7/8 level for base rates before loan level price adjustments. Remember, you're always about a half a point better when you look at VA, FHA. All the Govy stuff is a little bit better here. But overall, this is kind of where we're at. As far as expectations for where that brings us today, reprice risk on the day is moderate. We're not seeing any, there's no economic data coming out today that we have to worry about. There's nothing happening there that to get excited on. However, I can't say low because I just don't feel that we're ever in a condition to see reprice risk be low right now. It just feels like there's always some kind of reprice risk. Even, just that markets are more susceptible to that movement than we're used to. So let's go ahead and make this a lot smaller because we don't need it to be that big if we're doing that. Taking a look here right now, trade talks between the U.S. and China will continue into a second day in London. That's kind of the big behind the scenes headline that's moving things. Markets are definitely watching to see if we do get some kind of a deal with China. So right now, rates not likely to make any big moves despite this week's inflation data. It comes out tomorrow. We're going to get the CPI inflation data tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. It comes out before morning rate sheets. It is expected to show tariffs starting to hit retail prices on the shelves, and we are expected to see inflation start to tick up a little bit for the first time in 4 months. So, but it's not expected to be any big move. Let's take a look at some of that possibility there. So depending on how this stuff comes in tomorrow, what we should expect, if we take a look at the 10-year treasury yield and we talk about expectations, right now we're at 4.43. Worst case scenario, if inflation were to come in higher than what's being expected, we're likely to see the 10-year treasury yield move higher, but it's probably likely to be somewhere in the mid 4.52, 4.53 kind of range. I'll write that down here, 4.53. Again, this is going to be tomorrow's CPI data. If it comes in higher than expected, if inflation comes in hotter than expected, we'll see the 10-year jump. Right now it's at 4.44. We'd probably see it go up to about 4.53, 4.54. I don't think we'd see it go up much higher than that. As far as what effect and what that looks like on rate sheets, we'll see mortgage bonds lose ground. They would probably drop back down. Currently, mortgage bonds are at 98.79. We're going to call it 98.80. We'll just round it off there at 98.80. You'd probably lose 15 or 20 basis points, maybe even 25 basis points. Bring us down to that 98.50-ish level here. But arguably, there's no technical support here. This is just my prognostication. If we were to see inflation come in unexpectedly improved, you'd see a nominal increase, but it wouldn't get as much of a bump in bonds and therefore in rate sheet pricing as you would expect, because markets are still expecting all this stuff to be hitting and banging. So good morning, Mike Morano. Good morning, Holly Johnson, Carmen Amwendo, Deb Dickinson, Rob Stewart, Ron Siegel. Great to see you, sir. Ron Siegel says today is National Egg Roll Day. National Egg Roll Day. So we're going to have some fun with that one. My question to y'all is, what is your favorite Chinese food? And I know that Chinese food, it's American Chinese food. Because American Chinese food is kind of like Chinese food McDonald's. But what is your favorite Chinese food dish? Let me know in the comments. What is your favorite Chinese food dish? Let's take a break for a minute. Let's talk about that and have some fun with that. What is your favorite Chinese food dish? Let's all compare notes. For me, I'm going with General Tso's chicken. I like it spicy too. You don't always see it spicy, but I do like it spicy. So for me, I'm going General Tso's chicken. What do you guys like? What's your favorite? Sweet and sour, boneless ribs, a good old egg roll. What do you guys like? What's your favorite Chinese food dish? If you don't eat American Chinese food, let me know in the comments. Have you ever been? What is that? Panda Express, right? I saw that for the first time in California. But let's see. ABC almond boneless chicken. Mike Morano says almond boneless chicken for him. Sean Segaloff, Mai Tai. I don't even know what Mai Tai is. Is that a drink? Isn't a Mai Tai a drink, Sean? Are you pulling my leg? You know, Sean, I know you don't eat a lot of Chinese food because they don't have bacon, but they do have pork. Kung Pao chicken. Kung Pao chicken. I'm going with General Tso's chicken. General Tso, much meaner than Kung Pao. Yeah, Segaloff is busting my chops. You're a good man, Segaloff. Giddy up, Mr. Randy Tickle. All right, y'all. Come on. Anyone else can tell me what your favorite Chinese food dish is? Put it in the comments, and I'll go back to what we got going on here. So taking a look, Morano, you shared some things with me. Mike Morano, y'all, he shared some articles with me. Let me see if I pull one up here. There you go. Here's one, and I'll throw this up there. So, like, this was an article about, they don't even have a big headline up here. I can't even point to that. This one was talking about how the tables are turning in the U.S. housing market. This time, buyers are calling the shots. There are an estimated 1.9 million homes for sale across the country, but only about 1.5 million active home buyers, leaving a gap of nearly 500,000, the largest on record, according to Redfin. I don't know where Redfin comes up with the number of buyers, active home buyers. Hold on a minute. Sorry about that. However, I do agree with the sentiment here. Let me know in the comments if you guys agree with sentiment as well. What they're basically saying is that the balance of power in the U.S. housing market shifting, or has shifted. I don't know if it's shifted yet. I think it's shifting towards buyers, but a lot of sellers have yet to see or accept the writing on the wall. Many are still holding out hope that their home is the exception and will fetch top dollar. Again, top dollar compared to when. This is all perspective. When we came from a COVID market where things were selling for, 10, 20, 25% higher than asking price, people got used to that. However, that's not the condition anymore. But I replied to Mike and I said that I always find questions like this to be very stupid. That's left some sellers, especially those who bought at the peak, trying to recoup their investment. Listen, if you bought at the peak and you're selling now, there's a reason. And anytime that you buy a home and you sell it within, what would you say, 2-3 years? It's not normal to make money on that. Not in a normal market. You're generally going to lose money if you buy a home and sell it a year, unless you're flipping, unless you're buying something and cleaning it up, improving it to sell, you're not going to make money just buying a home. And then if you have to sell it for some reason, I was surprised to see, we had friends that were in the neighborhood. Their daughter bought a house in Chattanooga, and almost immediately, I'm talking within a couple of weeks, was in a situation where she had to sell that house. There was personal stuff going on there. And I'm like, oh, that sucks. She's going to take a hit on that. She made money. Now, this was about a year ago, I think, give or take. You know how memories go. A year feels right. Maybe about a year ago. But that's very unnormal. That's not the way it's supposed to be. So I agree with the sentiment. I do think we are going to see a price correction. We're seeing buyer fatigue. You're seeing sellers that are going to have to entice. But if you bought a house 3 years ago and you're selling it now, that's kind of tough. You don't normally, but overall, those houses still appreciated in value and they should be fine. Yeah, I'm not going on loan applications, Mike, because those are people buying a house if it's a loan application. I mean, it's not like they track pre-quals or things like that. I mean, I don't know. Where do you come up with the number of active home buyers? I think they just pull that number out of the air. I think it's made up, because how are you going to classify who's out buying homes? How do you know? Like if I were in my neighbor, if I were to look in my neighborhood, how do I know who's out buying homes right now? I think that's crap. Ron said Panda Express is great if you like lots of sugar and sodium. Exactly. American Chinese food is like McDonald's. I get you. Ron Siegel said in many areas of Southern California, home prices are appreciating over the last 60 years at 5.3%. So a 2 to 3 year hold is still a pretty good return on cash if you're putting 10% down. It could be. It could be. I'll give you that, especially the home prices there. That percentage, being on a larger home size going to be bigger. But anyway, that's what we got this week. That's kind of all there is. Tomorrow, let's get into some detail. Tomorrow we've got CPI inflation data coming. When we look at that CPI inflation data, I'm not expecting it to help pricing at all tomorrow. However, it's likely if it does hurt us, we'll get a bounce back. If it does hurt us, we'll get a bounce back. So if you got anything closing in the next couple of weeks and you want to lock ahead of tomorrow's CPI data, that's fine. There's not a lot of urgency to locking right now, though. Just keep that in mind. Monica Dinkins, sesame chicken. I'm with you, man. Yeah, Ron Siegel said the median home price in this county is 1.2 million. So that's median. Yeah, I get you. So anyway, I'm not too worried about it. What do you guys think tomorrow? Do you think inflation will come in above? You think it'll come in hot? You think it'll come in at expectations? Right now, expectations are core at 0.3% and 2.9% for the annual. The core number is the one that we're going to be paying attention to more than the headline number. Core takes out food and energy prices, which are considered volatile. But Mike said they could be. Mike, I love you, man. You are fighting hard to make this one work. Redfin and Zillow obviously sell leads. They could be referring to that lead volume. Possibly. It's still a made up number. You can't know that number. There's nothing that's even remotely accurately tracks that number. That's all a projection. I think I would love to know where they came up with that number, but I don't even agree with that number. I don't think it's close. There's a lot of people that are out there. And again, it's almost like with unemployment, they say, are you looking for a job? And it's a survey. How much people are looking and then they're not, and then they're looking and then they're not, and how serious were they looking? And I think it's all crap anyway. Holly said in Northwest Ohio this weekend alone, several clients made offers in the same property well over asking price. The home listed $219 ended up getting accepted for $260. Yeah, look at that. That's not a soft market in Northwest Ohio. And who wants to live in Northwest Ohio? Obviously somebody does, because look at that price, right? So anyway, that's kind of what we're at. So tomorrow, again, locking anything. Let me see where I got my lock advice up there. I'm still cautiously floating. I'm really not overly concerned. I'm going to say, let me just adjust this here. Lock advice. Most loans are okay to float. Lock any risk averse, especially if closing in the next couple of weeks. Save and show. All right. So that's the lock advice for today. Most loans are okay to float. Lock any risk averse or anything closing, over the next couple of weeks. Again, we could see some movement today. We're watching the trade talks in China or in London with China. But overall, a lot of the other stuff, there's no economic data today we have to worry about. There's nothing there. It's tomorrow's CPI data we got to be watching for. So, all right. Well, that's it for today, y'all. Thank you for joining me. Remember, you can join me live each and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. If you would like a free daily email to your lock advice, you can sign up for that at www.ratelockadvice.com. You can get our text alerts at ratetextalerts.com. You can check us out at originatorssuccess.com, and you can still get in with the Grab and Go Social presale at grabandgosocial.com. So hope you all have a fantastic day. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Make it a great one. Bye-bye.